Well, welcome to another episode of Take Back My Brain. I have a special treat again for you today. I have Tim Kuss, who is an amazing practitioner. I could give you a whole, I don't know, probably a 3-page list of everything that Tim has accomplished in his life. So I'll have that in the show notes for you if you want to check him out. He's also the owner and founder of Infinity Health, where you get high quality supplementation that I've been ordering from him for years. And he is a go-to man for protocols and just a wealth of information. And so thank you, Tim, for being here today. I'm so excited to have you.
Well, thank you, Laurie. Happy to be here.
That's awesome. So I want to know a little bit more about you because we've been chatting back and forth for years and I've been buying supplements, but kind of tell me how you got into this space and where you are now.
Yeah, well, interesting. My first wife and I were into herbs and botanicals, and she was associated with this gentleman named Stuart Wheelwright.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was a master herbalist back in the day and biochemist and brilliant guy. So after a while, we got to meet him, and I just loved the guy. He was a genius in this field. I mean, just he could do pretty much anything that was necessary to heal the body, and he had traveled all over the world. He was just a wealth. There's a encyclopedic knowledge of herbs. So I was able to kind of hang out with him for periods of time and learn
That's amazing.
by just being around him. And we would sponsor him to come and give lectures, and he'd come in and teach doctors the use of herbs and nutrition. And so I just learned a great deal from him. And so I kind of went back to school and got into a master's in nutrition and kind of became a practitioner later on, and learning what I had learned from him. He knew about this science called the sclerology, reading the red lines and the whites in the kidneys, that very few people knew. He learned it from the American Indians, and he was so good. He actually, when he first met me, he looked at my eyes and said, "Oh, Tim, you need to be careful." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, you've got scar tissue around your heart. You can see it in your eye."
Wow.
Really? I didn't know. So I asked my parents, did I have a high fever as a kid? And yeah, you did, and we almost lost you. And that's kind of confirmed it. But I would never have known that. Who else in the world could have told me such a thing?
Yeah, just
And
by looking at you.
yeah, looks in my eye, like, what? And then he said, "Well, here, I'm going to give you the other clue. Do you have a scar somewhere?" And I have a scar on my left forefinger.
Okay.
And he says, "You're going to rub that every day the rest of your life. And the reason is when it gets hard and callousy, it's going to tell you that your body needs more vitamin E. And
Oh,
so you take vitamin E to replenish. And so when I do it, indeed, the callus gets soft and supple the way it should be. So it's indicative of that the vitamin E levels are sufficient. And vitamin E is a protective antioxidant that keeps the heart muscle soft and supple as well. So, I'm still very active and play competitive sports, and certainly would not be here today and not been clued in on that whole issue.
wow, that's amazing. So would you say that if you have a scar that has a deposit on it or it's rough or something, that is a vitamin E thing?
It is.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's true
That's
for
good to
anybody.
know.
Yes.
As I'm rubbing my finger, I'm like, I got a scar here.
And it's interesting. After I take the vitamin E, and it was a little bit callousy, then later that day I'd rub it again, and it's back to soft and supple. So it's a daily type of event. It ebbs and flows through the day even.
All right. So I'm going to be checking my scars every day now. Thank you. That's a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was saying that does affect your heart muscle and how supple that is as well.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
No, good to know. Well, I know a passion of yours is like liver and kidney regeneration, detox. So I would love to hear your insights on all of that because I love detoxing. And, I teach my clients how to detox, but you're also, I forget how old you are, but you're super active. Are you over 70 now? Is that true?
Yeah, I'm 73.
Okay, so you're super active. Like there's nothing wrong with you. Um, tell us tell us all about that regenerative process and keeping our liver and our kidneys healthy.
Okay, well, I learned a lot from Wheelwright again on proper eating and enzyme-rich nutrition and life force. He wrote a book called The Provida Diet that talks about some of that. And so eating enzyme-rich foods that have the life force that revitalize the body.
Yeah.
And then in addition, Wheelwright had been trying to come up with the most superior liver formulas for a long time. And he had traveled to China and found what they had, and then came back to his lab and worked out some, various ingredients that was made it pretty good. But then one day he received a shipment of herbs from Brazil, and there were 7 different herbs in there that he did studies on and found that they were really going to be very helpful for the liver. And so for the first time I had another kind of a miraculous kind of a religious experience in that, in studying the energies of these herbs, he knew that the liver had the 3 lobes. Now they're even calling it 4 lobes in the liver.
Okay.
And each of them had a distinct energy signature or resonance that it was unique. And he could never find herbs that had all of those combined in one until he found these herbs. And they had the different energy frequency within the herb that were specifically for the liver.
Oh,
And so he said, oh my goodness, if you didn't believe in God before, would this not be the proof, because
right.
this was sent here on earth for us to heal the liver. So we put these together in 2 different products. One is called L-Liver, which is a builder for the liver. And in a lot of Western nutrition, we do detox a lot, but sometimes we forget to come back and build. And that's
Right. Oh,
equally
so
important.
true. Mm-hmm.
So we have that L-Liver product, and then the LS is your stimulant or the cleansing product. And they put these together, and they're just incredibly effective. And so I've been using them off and on myself for years, and then started using them with patients, and found that, oh my goodness, they're just remarkably regenerative.
They are.
People with elevated liver enzymes, you can normalize those in 1 month using the L product with the number 5 stabilizer. It's called a biocommand.
Mm-hmm.
And he made these that just are very different in the whole world. And there's nothing else quite like them. And so this liver regeneration program comprises the L-Liver with the biocommands done in a sequence, number 5 stabilizer, which resets the cellular DNA to help in maintaining the next generation of our DNA is replicating in a healthy manner, which is incredibly important. So that works really well together. And then you move on to number 2 builder for a pattern of a week or so, and then you go on to the number 6 healer, and you rotate those 3 with the L-Liver product, and those are incredibly regenerative. Now, there's another corollary, similar program called the kidney regeneration program.
Mm-hmm.
And my former father-in-law had stage 4 kidney disease. And he was diabetic and not in very good health, couldn't walk more than a block without being tired and had to sit down. So my wife asked me, can you put a program together for him? I said, oh, sure. So I put this program together, which was using the K-Kidney product from Systemic with the same biocommands, the number 5, number 2, and number 6 in sequence in that way. And then in addition, found 2 other products that are also really helpful. One is called Sea Cure. Okay. Sea Cure is a deep ocean whitefish that heals the body as needed. It's really great. I use it a lot. I've got a shoulder that's tender, and when I play pickleball for too long, it kind of acts up a little bit. So I'll take that, and it feels better almost instantly. And it just speeds healing wherever in the body. That's one of the great things. It was originally designed for gut health, and restorative, the gut
Oh,
and
that's
small
where I've heard
intestine.
that before. Yeah, sea cure. Got it. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's just really wonderful. So you take like 6 capsules of those a day, 3 and 3, and that just speeds healing. And then the other product is called Accelicor, which is a metabolic enzyme complex. And you
Okay.
take that on an empty stomach once a day, and that basically acts as a third kidney. So these enzymes go into the blood and devour whatever shouldn't be there, be it undigested food debris, heavy metals, toxins, chemicals, pesticides, which is whatever shouldn't be there. And it
Right.
acts as that third kidney, so it supports the detox process. And the combination of those three, what happened was with my ex-father-in-law, he regressed or actually progressed back to early stage 2 kidney disease.
Wow.
Doctors were flabbergasted. They'd never seen anything like it. And this
Yeah.
is in the course of about 6 months has happened, this evolution.
Which never happens. Once you hit stage 4 kidney disease, you're not going to go backwards.
You're going on dialysis within months.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is now 15 years later. Well, maybe not, maybe 12 years later. I'm not somewhere in there. He's still healthy and is doing well. And despite, what it looked like, he was on his way out.
Wow. That's incredible. So let's take a step back because we're talking about liver and kidney and things that we can do to regenerate them. But let's take a step back and how did we get to the place that they're toxic to start with? And why are they so important? Why do you want to target those 2 specific organs?
Well, because there are 2 major detoxification organs in a human body. And
Okay.
in today's world, there's so much, unhealthy lifestyle, food, GMO foods, which put stress on the body, pesticides, chemicals, the seeding of our clouds with these heavy metals and things that just we don't even know what's going on sometimes, but our body takes the full brunt of that. And so these 2 organs, if we can keep them healthy, they will do everything to keep us healthy, but it's
Right.
just that natural process. I mean, there's some herbs. I mean, like for the kidneys, one of the foods that's incredibly valuable is watermelon seeds, the seeds of the watermelon.
Really? Okay.
Now, in today's world, it's hard to find a seeded watermelon, right?
It is.
But I chew them up because you can actually. I mean, I have a hereditary left kidney weakness.
Oh, okay.
And so if I ate, like years ago, I had one cookie, a little tiny little cookie, and I had pain in my left kidney instantly from it. And I said, okay, I bet there's soy in there. I went back and looked at the label. Sure enough, there was soy.
So does soy affect your kidney?
It does. But it's the uncultured soy. Now,
Got
if
it.
it's cultured like in tofu, miso, tamari,
Mhm.
tempeh, I can consume those just fine because they're taking those long chain amino acids and breaking them down to the smaller digestible amino acids.
Right.
So, but the uncultured soy, like soy protein powders and soy protein isolates, that's not true with, and that's what I had consumed in that cookie.
Mhm.
So whenever, and I had this happen again later, was eating at a Mexican restaurant, didn't realize that the corn tortillas were causing the problem because they were GMO. I didn't know it for a few months. And so I was wondering what's going on, what's causing this. And then I went into the restaurant again and realized, oh, this is it. It's got to be it. It's a GMO corn that they're using. Because I eat those things. My body is so sensitive that I get that pain in my left kidney.
Okay, so
So
you have a flag that pops up. Most people aren't that in tune to their body, Tim.
yeah, well, I am who I am, and I would have been gone in my mother passed in her early 50s from cancer,
Wow.
colon and liver cancer, and so I've got a sensitive side, and I've just become aware of what these little nuances are in terms of body signals. On the good side, my dad, though, lived to be 99 and a half. So I'm emphasizing those genes through the field of epigenetics, right?
There you go. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So people come to me all the time. They're like, we talk about detox. They're like, oh, I've done a liver cleanse before. I got it at Whole Foods. So kind of unravel for us, like what's the difference between, what you're going to get, say, at a health food store, and then what you were just talking about with the bio commands and the L and everything from systemic formulas?
Yeah, well, what you're going to get is the difference from a good product that you find at the health food store and a vastly superior one
Okay.
that was made by like the company Systemic Formulas. They use the best raw materials and blend it in a unique format. When Wheelwright would formulate a product, he would put a schematic together on it in terms of, okay, what is the mission of this product? What's it going to achieve? And then he would, like an engineer, would go and look for the individual raw materials to accomplish the various end results of what he was looking to do.
Okay.
And he would put this together in a pattern so that every ingredient had to be complementary with every other ingredient. And it's just like, when you're in you're around people that are like-minded and are harmonious, and you get an energy from them. They're building up your own vital energy by in the process of communicating and being with them. Well, the same is true with these herbs. They actually feed each other in a synergistic manner, like a great symphony that is totally in tune, far greater than one individual instrument, provides that resounding, incredibly comprehensive, beautiful sound. And this is true with these herbs. So you've got a product that's maybe 100 times more strong and able to reinforce the healing natural tendencies of the body to do its actual mission in the liver, kidney, etc. So this is what he was a incredible formulator, just a brilliant in that way.
That's awesome. I wish I would have known him. I love this. I love all of his products. They're amazing.
Yeah, he was a real he was a jewel.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some things that people can do besides the kidney and liver formulas that we just talked about to maintain more of a healthy, longevity type lifestyle? Because you're really good at this.
Okay. Well, there's a couple other things. There's amino acids.
My
And then,
favorite.
yeah, we'll talk about, I'm going to go on and mention one other thing first, though. There's an individual nutrient known as vitamin K2 or MK7.
Yeah.
And MK7 is the natural form of vitamin K2, unlike MK4, which is the synthetic.
Okay.
And I had a patient that had he actually had arteriosclerosis. And he seemed to have inadvertently gotten it by taking very high levels of vitamin D without taking adequate amounts of the vitamin K2, the MK7. Didn't realize it. And so he did the research actually, and then apprised me of it later. And it was just incredible because when one takes adequate amounts of vitamin K2, MK7, what it does is it supplies the bone matrix to the bone and helps to strengthen bone structure. I can tell because I'm playing pickleball. I still play singles at my age with the 40-year-olds, right? And it used to be when I would do that, I would get pain in my bones the next day. It would be just feeling of kind of heaviness, and I wouldn't call it exact pain per se, but it just like I just felt achy.
Yeah.
And so I started taking higher amounts of the MK7, and that doesn't happen anymore.
Really?
It's like, wow. And I take it in correspondence to the vitamin D. So for every 1,000 IUs of vitamin D, you take at least 150 micrograms of the MK7.
Okay.
So for instance, you take 2,000 of the D, you take at least 300 micrograms of the D. Now I take about 5,000 D and I take 900 of the MK7. And that's when it just really works great. So that's just a little key. Plus, it cleans the blood and removes arterial plaque.
Okay.
It removes calcification of the arteries, and it will do that in months. It even gets rid of varicose veins and the kind of the turkey neck. Some people have this kind of hanging skin of the neck with their lung. And this gentleman had it, and it completely cleared it up.
Wow.
It's got tight, hot, really firm skin now. It's like, wow, this is an amazing nutrient. So,
So would you use that, Tim, for like kidney stones, those types of things?
well, it would likely help that also.
Yeah.
I would be, if it was a kidney stone, I would use the K kidney product from Systemic with
Yeah.
KDIR. Those two will
Okay.
break up kidney stones. Yeah.
The K
So
and the KDIR.
yes, those two
Got it.
together. Yeah.
Would you do the
There's a
commands with them too?
pardon?
Would you do the commands with them too?
Well, you could do yeah, I mean it would be helpful probably again the number 5, number 2 and the 6 in rotation would be also equally valuable.
Gotcha.
Uh, yeah. So that's just an unknown. I mean it's getting some press a little bit, but not that much. And a lot of doctors still with COVID were prescribing high levels of D, which definitely protect the
Yeah.
immune system. But if you don't get the proper amount of the vitamin K2, MK7, there could be some issues there. So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So are you saying that you don't absorb D very well if you don't have the MK7 with it, the
well,
proper?
it's not that it's not absorbed, but what it happens is it freely circulates in the blood, but doesn't get to the bone. As
Gotcha.
the MK7 directs it to where it needs to go more
Okay,
efficiently.
that makes sense. All right. So what else?
Yeah, so then amino acids. So I had the pleasure of working with Julia Ross years ago and trained in the amino acid therapy.
Yeah, me too.
And that just changed my nutrition practice quite a bit because you could see that these tools available to help in reestablishing the health of various parts of the body, the neurotransmitters in the brain in particular, which in today's world, because of our stress levels and lifestyle, often get too low.
Mhm.
And you can quickly and easily replenish those with amino acid therapy. And there's various ones, there's L-tryptophan and phenylalanine and GABA and taurine and tyrosine and glutamine, all these individual single ones. And then this gentleman, Dr. Dan Smith from Danessa, contacted me one day and asked if I would formulate a product for them. It would be a full spectrum amino acid blend. And I did so with this product called Total Amino Solution. And
Which
it's
is my very favorite amino acid solution. I love total aminos. So good job, Tim.
yeah, well,
Made my life easier with clients.
well, it made mine as well. And, we were talking about, so what do we model this after? Okay, what food in nature is an ideal composite of amino acids, particularly for humans? And so we thought about it a bit and realized, well, mother's milk. What can be better than mother's milk? Okay. So we looked at the amino acid profile of mother's milk and then modeled it with this product. So we have 22 different amino acids in here. Has all 8 or 10. There's a kind of a
Gray area
discussion about how many are truly essential, right?
right.
So we have all of those plus 22 total, and they work synergistically really well. And there's some major cofactors to help the assimilation. So it absorbs really quickly in free form. In other words, you take these on an empty stomach and they absorb within minutes and you get into the bloodstream to do their work. And we found some amazing things that happen with it. We've got some phone calls from some people using the product saying, "Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe this helped me get off of prescription meds, Klonopin and Xanax, and some of these difficult to detox off of, wean off of meds." And I couldn't do it on my own. I tried, and then I found your product, and I would have to take it 3 or 4 times a day for about a month in order to achieve that process of completely detoxing. But it was working over and over. And so I remember one patient calling and saying, I just ran out of Total Amino, and I thought I was done weaning off of this med, and my symptoms came back horrifically. Can you send me another one overnight? So we did, and she got it the next day, and then took it again. She was fine then.
Mhm.
So they really, what it's doing is it's basically stabilizing the bloodstream and with the efficient delivery of the neurotransmitters and aminos, so the body maintains homeostasis and doesn't having detox symptoms and the
Right.
horrible weaning process you're going to go through. It's really anxiety prone as people kind of white knuckle that
Mhm.
process.
Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing product. I love it. So, how is that? Why would you choose that product over, say, another amino acid product that just had maybe like 8 of the amino acids in it?
Yeah, well, because it's broader and it works for the body in a greater way. The other key property is that we raised the L-tryptophan. That was the one thing that we changed from mother's milk. We increased the tryptophan ratio quite a bit.
Mhm. And why is
And well, the reason is that we realize that in nature there aren't that many foods that contain L-tryptophan in sufficient quantity. We
right?
know of turkey and pumpkin seeds, and that's not much more than that. And so it's really hard to get adequate levels of serotonin. In today's world, depression and anxiety, these disorders have become rampant, and tryptophan is one of the most important nutrients for reestablishing balance in the body. So that's one of the reasons why we raise that. It's interesting though, most composite full, so-called full spectrum amino acids often do not contain tryptophan at all.
Right. And why is that?
Well, years ago, when tryptophan was taken off the market, it seemed like a trend began, and so people weren't using tryptophan as much. And even though it's even more important
Mhm.
today because of that fact, so it's just like it's a critical omission. And with the amount that we have in here, it raises the natural serotonin level, so people can sleep more easily, be more calm, relaxed, and just have a happier life. Serotonin is probably the most important neurotransmitter.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. You said something about tryptophan was taken off the market. If it's so important, what happened that it was taken off the market? Because it's a fascinating story, and I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, well, okay, so somehow there was a number of deaths that were tracked to L-tryptophan, and they were trying to figure out what really happened. So the news really never came out in the American press fully of what did happen, but
Mhm.
behind the scenes, those in the know in the nutrition industry, what happened was there was a Japanese manufacturer of amino acids that was trying to shortcut some laboratory processes,
Yeah.
and they were using the raw material for L-tryptophan. It wasn't clean. It wasn't pristine clean, and in essence, it was contaminated, and that was what caused the deaths. It had nothing to do. It could have been vitamin C, aspirin, or anything else. It just happened. It was tryptophan.
Sure.
And the FDA at that time was trying to limit the usage of amino acids. Anyway, it was kind of part of a little, agenda they had during that time frame. And so that's what they did. And we're hoping that tryptophan would kind of go away. But there was so much fanfare upon the part of Americans that we got to get this back. This is the only thing that works in my life, da da da. So
Right.
they petitioned the FDA, and finally they let it come back and realized that it was not the tryptophan at all. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that, what was coming out during that time when tryptophan was taken off the market happens to be, some SSRI medications. So,
good point. That was actually, yeah, that was really probably the major part of the agenda. Yeah.
yeah. So then they didn't have another option. So, voila, there's Prozac.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I love the fact that because when I started using L-tryptophan, it was pretty sporadic when I could find it because that was back in the early 90s. And I actually would get it in the pet section.
Yep, that's what a lot of people did. Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, the company that brought it back out on the market, which is Litke in Arizona, that's what they were marketing it as originally, was as a pet
Yeah.
supplement.
Yeah. So I would buy their pet supplement. It worked. That's all I
Yep.
knew. I felt good when I took it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else that you would say would be really foundational for longevity in your view?
Yeah. Don't use a microwave
Amen.
because um, microwave, there was some German a study done, oh gosh, 15 years ago. And they were looking at the effects of food and food preparation on the human body. So they did an exhaustive series of tests. And so in the typical German way that they were very comprehensive, and they covered all the bases. They would take a blood sample from an individual, and then they would have them eat, let's say, fried food, or they
Hmm.
would eat, sautéed or baked, and they had all different forms of food. They studied like 15 different food preps, means of preparing food, and the only one that showed a problem in the follow-up blood test was the microwave.
Oh,
And in
interesting.
every case of those studied that consumed a microwave food, it caused a spike in white blood cells known as leukocytosis,
Hmm.
which is a long name for white blood cells spiking, which is usually indicative of one or two things: inflammation or infection.
Right.
In this case, this was verified by other amino acid studies later, that the actual amino acids are altered when they're consumed in microwave form. So they
Oh,
no longer
interesting.
act as a natural free-form amino acid. They are
Hmm.
altered in slight ways, so they're no longer looked at as human. So the body is attacking. That's why the attack, or these white blood cells, are spiking. There's an inflammatory process, and it's the food itself that is
Wow.
causing it. If I eat microwave food, again, I have the sensitive body. I haven't eaten
Mhm.
it for years and years, but back when I was in California, probably 20 years ago, I would eat at a deli across the street occasionally. And one day I went to get my food, and I realized they nuked it. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't standing up for myself that day. I just went back and ate it. It's I'm falling asleep at my desk all afternoon. I just can't maintain consciousness because my body is in a state of, it's got to, this thing, what you've eaten is not good. I've got to somehow come to grips with it and digest it as best I could. So I've just got this sense of body. I just can't do it. So everyone else I see, even some family members, they just keep eating this food. Like, oh my God, how do you survive doing that?
Right. Right.
You know, yeah. Anyway, so that's a huge issue, and we've made it back in the end of World War II. There's an interesting story. The Russians got to that part of Germany first before we Americans did, and we're taking their technology, right? So the Russians studied it for 1 month in the microwave and realized we want nothing to do with this.
Right.
We Americans come along and they traded it for something else for us, and we made it a central part of our culture. Oh my God.
Hmm.
Russians
Yeah.
were a little smarter.
They were. They were probably in a lot of other things too, but yeah, they don't allow them in their country, do they?
That's right.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
because they're so toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And, just kind of having a talk with your body about, okay, um, you, you're talking to your higher self really here as soul,
Yeah.
right? So could you clue me in if there's something that doesn't agree with me or isn't good for my overall health? Can you give me a nudge? Give me an intuition. And
Hmm.
I think the more we do this, I've been doing spiritual practice for years and years, and meditation and contemplation and using mantras, etc. Anyway, um, I just found in tuning into that life force, or call it soul, whatever, the higher self you want to
Yeah.
call it, it will inform us. If we really want that, it's going to work with us, right? We will get
Well.
these intuitions about
Yeah.
something or other that isn't good for us, that is causing issues.
Hmm.
So I think the more we do that and make that a part of our daily process, it just helps us in every aspect of our lives.
Oh, I absolutely agree. We were created to know what goes on in our body. It's that innate intelligence that every cell should be able to talk to each other.
Yes, and they do, and we just have to kind of discern through however way we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love this conversation. Is there anything else you would like us to know?
Good question. You know, pay attention to your dreams.
That's
You
true.
know, it's again another way of this that our higher self communicates with us. So we have a, you know, repetitive dream in particular. It's something, okay, there's something you're missing in your life. I used to have this repetitive dream of I would wake up and I'd be in a kind of a dry sweat because I was in the, it was the day of finals in college and I hadn't studied. I didn't know what I was even, I hadn't prepared at all, right? I was
Uh-huh.
totally unprepared. And I would just dream and it would always come up when I was unprepared in some area of my life.
Yeah.
But that's, it was a signal, okay, what am I unprepared for now? And then, oh yeah, okay, I forgot. Oh. So then I start working and everything bounces out again. So we've
Yep.
got this inner compass or mechanism within us that helps us reestablish or maintains a state of balance.
I love
And, you know, the more we, you know, tune into that and work with it, it works for us over and
it.
over.
I so agree. I so agree. That's great. Well, gosh, I appreciate all of your wisdom. And I will put in the show notes where people can get in contact with you. They can order from your Infinity Health website if they want some really high quality products that I use all the time. And
Great.
I just appreciate your knowledge and all the help you've given me over the years. So thank you so much for sharing a piece of what you know with my audience.
Anytime, Laurie. Great pleasure. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I will see you all in the next episode.
All right. Thank you.